Welcome to Chandler Focus. I'm Councilmember Rick Heumann. Today we're talking about the 5th annual Chandler Science Spectacular event that will take place in the city on Saturday, February 20th. Got two great guests today. My Jeremy Barrett, I always butcher your name, Jeremy, I apologize. Executive Director with Arizona SciTech Festival, and Renee Levin, Community Engagement Manager with Intel. Let's start. Welcome. How about sharing a little bit of background of our viewers? Ladies first.
Thank you. So I served as the Community Engagement Manager at Intel. I've been there for over 20 years and also a Chandler resident, responsible for our volunteer program and our education programs.
And Intel's a great partner with the city, and we do appreciate everything you guys do and stuff. So, Jeremy?
And I run the Arizona SciTech Festival, so we run a statewide effort to really increase the engagement and excitement of the public with science and tech. And so working with communities like Chandler has been one of the most exciting things in helping to get these type of initiatives launched.
And how many cities now are doing something?
There's about 24 communities doing something like this,
right.
But typically, from what we've seen, Chandler has always led the pack of what's happening. So
that's cool. That's cool. It's great partnerships we have and stuff. So a big component of the fair is participation from our business community as well as local schools and nonprofit organizations. February is a month designated for exploring science and innovation. Can you talk a little bit about the coordination necessary to do this event, Jeremy, and talk about staffs and cities and things like that?
I think it ranges between what the communities have, what they're hoping to accomplish. And so I think Chandler really provided the model of how this could work. And part of it was, to your effort, is that there was a coalition of engaged collaborators looking for something to do related to STEM, or science, technology, engineering, and math. This helped to provide that good kind of rallying point to make that happen. But a lot of it we find is really seeing what people have to begin with. And so one could say, hey, we have to get after school clubs, but if you don't have any there, you can't force it. So a lot of it is figuring out what your existing resources are and then figuring out how you might realign them. And so one of the really smart things that Chandler did was say, hey, we have an existing art walk. Well, maybe we can integrate kind of the sneaky science with this event and make it happen. And that's really been a model that we've seen out in anywhere from Maricopa. The city of Maricopa does a salsa festival. Glendale does a chocolate affair. But it helps to really take what's there, but also allowing partners like business partners, community partners to showcase what they have.
That's cool. And people try to give me credit for this event. Without my staff that does the work behind the scenes and partnerships, this doesn't happen. So I just shout out to them. I think it's really important. You guys, Intel, you've been amazing, great involvement. You're a lead sponsor for this event and stuff now for 4 years. Talk about your involvement and why you want to be in this event and why it's so important for you guys.
So we hire a lot of people that have a technical degree, whether it's computer science or some type of an engineering degree. And we know that the way to get people to pursue those careers and those education, degrees, they really need to have that experience when they're young. And I think this gives us the perfect opportunity to engage kids in kind of that sneaky way. They come out, they see it's cool. They don't even realize it's science. They think it's more like magic or whatever. And then once they get involved, they, hopefully they'll be inspired from a very young age and pursue that career.
And that's really an important part of it. I mean, education in our state gets a lot of bad raps, and you guys do a lot of different stuff. And you're a big partner with us also in our Chandler Education Coalition doing other things as well. But I mean, I think that's the key, is getting kids from that younger age, because how many Intel employees are there now in our city?
We have over 11,000 employees that work in Chandler.
Right. And the whole idea is to get those, if we can, more of those homegrown as possible, getting them to feel part of it and stuff, so which is great. What can attendees expect, experience at Intel's exhibit this year? You have any idea what you guys are going to do yet?
So we are planning. Last year we had some of our employees that tinker. They're called makers,
right,
that come out and showcase inventions. And so we've already identified a few people. There'll be real engineers that are out there showcasing their product or whatever it is that they've made. We have people that have automated all kinds of things, their plant watering system, their treat to a dish to give their dog a treat every couple of hours. It will turn, all kinds of really cool stuff. And then we will also have some hands-on activities at our booth for the kids to play with.
It's an amazing, we'll talk about it throughout the show. It's an amazing event. It's hands-on, and Jeremy, talk about the Arizona SciTech organization. You're talking. We're going to be your signature event. What does that mean? And talk a little bit more about your organization. I want to promote the state, not just Chandler. Obviously, I want to promote Chandler.
I mean, our hope is to really build a culture in Arizona of science and technology, and we want it to be throughout everywhere. And so the strategy is, how do we partner with regional communities to make this happen? And so that model that was established that first year has really become a key strategy. So we've gone into communities anywhere from like Tempe all the way out to like Thatcher and Safford to say, well, how might we get partnerships from business, community, education, and government to partner to really pull those STEM assets together? We're finding it's something that's top of mind for everybody. And so we really go in more as strategic consultants to figure out, well, how might they tweak what they do and learn from each other? And so by having the opportunity to go and watch how some communities are really taking the ideas and succeeding, we can go and really provide some ideas and insights and then share things that we learned from other communities.
When you first started doing this, you came to us 5 years ago now. How many people did you have through the first year, and what was the number? How have the numbers grown?
So the first year, there was about 200 events that were posted on the calendar. This year, it's breaking about 1,000.
Wow.
And so a lot of it is also representative that there's more organizations wanting to do STEM. And hopefully that we've had a big role in helping to inspire that. But it's also showing that we're a community that's starting to really take that on. For collaborators, it was about pretty similar numbers, actually. It's about a couple hundred that we had the first season, and now there's probably about 800 organizations that engage in one way or the other. But a lot of it's kind of that, the level of engagement. I mean, from this event here in Chandler alone, I think we were talking about with Odette that maybe the first season there might have been about 20 or 30 content providers, and now it's breaking 80 or 100.
It was over 100 last year.
And you see engagement of organizations like Intel, and then later we talked about like Orbital ATK, where they had like maybe four interactions the first season, and now they have like 10, 20 to 30 of them, and it's just, it's amazing to see how people really take it and engage.
Yeah, the event's been a fun event. It's grown, on its own in a way. I mean, and the key to it, and when people come down to see it, whether it's the 19th at the Art Walk or the 20th, which is our main part of the day, it's lots of hands-on stuff. And we've learned that anybody who brings in hands-on stuff, kids are staying down 3 and 4 hours. And the parents, it's not just little kids, but adults. We have all these different companies are there, and it's just a fun thing to see. And you talk to people, I can't get our kid out of here. We want to go home. They don't care about lunch, which is amazing. But that's what's really fun and stuff. So in terms of Chandler's event being chosen as one of your signature events, what additional value does that bring to the event?
So, I mean, part of it is the recognition piece of it. We're going to put it in our program schedule. So we highlight just the signature events, and those are sent out to 700,000 people, or 700,000 are printed around the state. And so that's a piece of it. We'll do extra promotions on our online calendar events, on our blogs. But also it's kind of a nice way to recognize that seal of approval on the event. We'll send our team out as well to have a booth or a table or representation. But it kind of helps to establish that kind of leadership in that event. Plus recognize the partnerships of what you've done.
Right. And Intel being a key sponsor for us and stuff. Renee, talk a little bit more about Intel's involvement in SciTech in general and STEM, your efforts here in the city, but your efforts overall to try and generate more interest and stuff.
Absolutely. We have all types of activities ranging from, the little ones in kindergarten all the way up through college. And we just are working with the Chandler Unified School District to implement Project Lead the Way, which is a STEM curriculum and hands-on project-based learning that's starting at kindergarten and going all the way through high school. So we absolutely know that if they don't start early, that they might struggle. But we believe that every single kid has the ability to do this, and they just need to have the exposure.
And so people from our audience, some people don't understand what STEM is. And I guess maybe both of you guys can touch on it. You touch on it a little bit, and I want you to touch on what you're talking about for first graders and things like that to give them an idea. But you've been involved in this event from the start, and you've done an amazing job with this. But talk about what STEM means to a lot of different people. It's not just a matter of building a computer.
Right.
I always talk about the hairdresser needs to understand STEM. But talk a little bit more about that, Jeremy, and some of the events around the state.
It is.
Maybe I'll take
but talk about some of the events
you
you guys are doing around the state that really I know that Scottsdale does the one of baseball and, the different things. So
I think there's kind of two elements, and probably Renee could touch on the second part, which is you have a STEM literate society and citizenry, and then there's one which is the STEM, people that really pursue STEM careers and that piece of it, which Renee probably can go more into. But for the STEM literate citizenry, it's a matter, you take like the science of baseball at Scottsdale. How do we get people to recognize that science and technology is part of everyday life? Somebody might be an auto mechanic. They may be a nurse or a healthcare practitioner. They hear these words, STEM, science and tech, but what does it mean? So the idea of the festival is to really build the community culture to embrace that this is part of everything that we do. Science of chocolate, science at the Renaissance Festival. And so how do we get non-traditional advocates to really see that science and technology is part of what they do? Globally, the hope is that by doing that, more kids are going to want to pursue engaging in science and technology careers, which we know is going to be a key reason why we're going to make that next huge invention or help to fulfill the needs of going into an Intel or an Orbital ATK or a Honeywell or all these Raytheon and the careers that we have in Arizona.
Yeah, and that's the big thing when we do the Friday night event, the art walk and the art and science. Mm-hmm. Blowing glass or breweries and things like that. It's all very scientific when you think about it. You just don't make a beer. You've got to have all the different things. The ingredients are one thing, but whether it's cooking and I do some work with Yvette and Sally does an amazing job out there. But you watch these kids, everything's involved. Forensic science.
Right.
How can you figure out where a fire started that burned 1,000 acres of a fire? But the scientists go in and figure it out. Whether it's cooking or cleaning or all these different things, everything has a thing. So how about from the Intel perspective in terms of what some of the stuff we're talking about starting from kindergarten to first grade, what would a first grader
look like? I think it's making learning fun gets kids involved. And when they have the opportunity to take some toothpicks and some marshmallows and build a structure that will actually, support a mug, let's say, they learn about, civil engineering and things like that. It's really fun for them. Even kindergartners are doing coding now, so computer coding. They're learning. They're on code.org. There's a way to code Frozen, the little girl from Frozen, and make her ice skate in different patterns. I mean, they're realizing that that is where the vast majority of jobs will be in the future. And whether you're playing on your smartphone, that probably isn't going to get you there. But if you have the skills behind that, and they're taking those advanced courses in mathematics and science and physics and all of that, it's something that people, the kids will really embrace it. And I think they're learning how to use it in real life applications. If you're sitting in your classroom learning physics from a book, it's not that exciting. Right. But if you're blowing up stuff and dropping stuff off of a building and seeing things explode and how fast things move, that makes it fun, and kids will really enjoy that.
And that's the practical side. I mean, the book side, I know doing stuff going out to ASU Polytech and all the stuff you can do in the books is one thing, but making it to market, so to speak, and being able to take that item that you want to do and move it on to really be able to deliver, it's a different world stuff. So, but we're running out of time. We have we have some more guests coming on after you guys and stuff. But I do want to thank you guys for coming in. It's an exciting event. How many people came through the whole event last year? You said you're over 1,000.
We counted for the whole festival.
Right.
We counted up the numbers of the events to be over 380,000.
That's amazing.
Attendees.
That's amazing.
And this event here had quite a few.
Oh yeah, this event drew 4,000 or 5,000 people at downtown Chandler last year. It was amazing. So it's great. Well, I thank you guys for your partnerships and stuff. So cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care.
For those of you joining us now, we're watching Chandler in Focus. I'm Councilmember Rick Heumann. We're just talking about the statewide initiative and promoting innovation, exploration, and Intel support for the 5th annual Chandler Science Spectacular event taking place on Saturday, February 20th. These cards are really long, guys. We're now going to talk with event coordinator Odette Moore, who's from Economic Development Research Assistant, and one of the event participants, Camille Cisek. I butchered more names today than possible. Vice President of Business Operations with Orbital ATK. I have to get that right now. So both of you welcome. Thank you guys for coming. You guys have been big partners for us for a lot of years. And Odette, you've done an amazing job on this festival. So
Thank you.
let's talk about your background. I'd say ladies first, but it's both ladies. I mean, last time I did Renee, but how about Odette? Give us your background a little bit. And
Okay, I have been with the City of Chandler for 14 years, 5 of which has been in economic development. And I have had the privilege of planning the event for the 5 years that it's been in existence. And I just look forward to more years of doing this and it growing bigger and better.
you've done an amazing job.
Thank
I
you.
got to tell you that. I mean, I said in the first part of the segment, somebody gave me credit for some things, and without my staff and my partners, you know, I don't take credit. You guys are the ones who do all the work and stuff. So I have just a pretty face. So Camille, how about tell us a little bit about your background?
Well, I've been in the Valley now for 35 years. My family moved here, and I attended ASU. Go Devils.
Go Devils.
And after that, I started at Motorola, and from there I went to Orbital Science Corporation, which is now, as you pointed out, Orbital ATK. We merged with Alliant Tech Systems, which is another aerospace and defense company, back in February. So now we're bigger and more opportunities, a larger footprint in the industry to be recognized by our customers. So I enjoy what I do, and Chandler's a great place to be. And Orbital ATK enjoys our relationship with the city.
And we appreciate your partnership. You guys are amazing and stuff. So it's kind of hard to believe. This is our 5th year.
Yes.
I mean, when we first started, like, what are we doing? Like, why are we doing this? And it's grown now. I don't know, we had 4,000 or 5,000 people in downtown Chandler last year for this event, people spending 3 and 4 hours and, you know, skipping lunch and the whole bit, which is just amazing. Talk about how you got involved in that, Odette, in terms of this event and the partnership we now have with Arizona SciTech Festival.
I got involved, basically, I was asked to help, and then I ended up taking it over because there were so many questions that I had, not knowing how to begin with an event like that. So with a lot of assistance throughout the city, I was able to pull it together, as they say, but along with companies like Orbital ATK and Intel and Garmin are some of the great companies that assisted us the first year, which has, as we said before, we had at the beginning of the first year, we had something like 20 companies participate. And throughout the years, it just keeps growing. And last year was one of the biggest so far. And so the collaboration with Camille and Renee from Intel has been wonderful. Their support to the event, not only with companies outside of the city, but even with our city, other departments and stuff. The interest just keeps growing, and the participation it's phenomenal.
And we had, what, about 100 companies last year?
Yes, we did.
So your goal is what this year? 120? I always tease Odette. It's like, okay. Well, you know, what's funny is we can talk about companies, but we're going to talk with Camille a second. When you guys first started, I think you took maybe, I don't know,
10 by 10.
10 by 10. Like, what are we doing here? And talk about what you're doing this year. And not necessarily we'll have more companies, but our companies are all taking more space. And so talk about what you guys are, you know, going to do this year.
Yeah, I think we started with a 10 by 10, and now Odette has grown us into, I don't know if that's a 40 by 30. It's a large space,
Right.
and our engineers are very excited. Last year, we purchased a small educational wind tunnel. So now our engineers are designing little objects in our 3D printer to put into the wind tunnel to show airflow over them and to demonstrate that for the youth. We also have our rocket motor exhibition to show thrust. So we've got our permit ready with the fire department to have the little Estes rocket motor launches and to demonstrate thrust on different equipment. We'll have the little balloon rocket launches, as we did. The favorite of a lot of the kids are little Alka-Seltzer rocket launches. Yes. And so just a lot of different things, and we continue to grow, and we're meeting weekly now, so our engineers are kind of putting together what, you know, they're going to do this year, and it grows, and now they're competing between the electrical department and the mechanical department and GNC to determine who's going to come up with the new and best exhibit and demo for the youth.
You know, and that's what's so fun about it. And I laughed one of the first years you guys were doing it. Something happened with the rocket, it didn't go off. I never had so much fun watching engineers trying to figure out they were going to make this thing work. They were down here, and it was just so cool to watch that. And the kids just sit there and mesmerized. And it's not just the kids. I mean, we have people from 3-year-olds up to 85-year-olds or older coming down and just spending hours, which is really cool. Why is this event so important to Orbital ATK?
STEM is at the core of what we do. You know, whether it's launching a satellite, building a satellite, delivering cargo to the space station, or the targets that we build for the Missile Defense Agency and the Air Force, STEM's at the core, and it is so important to us to engage the youth and to, you know, show the youth that, hey, STEM can be fun. It's not, you know, as Odette and I was talking about a few minutes ago, boring like it used to be. I mean, there are so many opportunities, and, you know, to engage the children, to, you know, reach out and to kind of get them interested so that, you know, the first graders, the second graders, as they see these things, they remember them. And then as they go to school, they're engaged, and, you know, they may be our next engineer, and we need the engineers.
How many employees does Orbital ATK have in the East Valley?
I think right now with the merger, we're probably around 3,500.
A lot of great, high-paying, wonderful jobs that are part of our community and stuff, which is a big, big deal. And we talked in our first segment with our other guests about STEM's just not about rockets. It's about everything from hair coloring to cooking to forensic science, all these different things. So people should realize it's not a matter of, well, I'm not a rocket scientist, but it's not about being a rocket scientist. It's just about fundamentals. And, you know, I laugh, you know, there's one of the high-tech guys are advertising their Gigablast thing. You know, what can I do with Gigablast? You know, I'm going to make holographic food or whatever it is. And it's really being able to imagine that. And as a kid, when we used to do erector sets, and you always envision things, and we joke about it today about how so many things that we joked about with the Jetsons and all these different things, other than Beam Me Up Scotty, so many things have occurred from people coming up with an idea and now being able to put the STEM behind it, people not even realizing some of those kinds of things and stuff. So, Odette, talk about, you know, the event a little bit more. You know, people have to understand this is a free event.
It is. That
is in downtown Chandler on February 20th. But talk about some of the opportunities for people to be able, what are they going to be able to expect over the last couple of years and this year?
Well, this year, one of the cool things that we have is last year we had the makers participate, and this year we're including it as one event. And so we have, like you said earlier, you know, anything that people can create in their garages, the great ideas, the interactive ideas, those makers are also participating in our event. There are going to be a lot of interactive activities. As we also said earlier with Camille as an example, we have a lot of booths that are growing in sizes, and the interest in all these different events and activities is just getting bigger and better. And it is not just, you know, the boring science from back in my day. It has grown, the interest not only from the kids who are participating throughout the various school districts, but also the companies, and their participation and enthusiasm in the event is growing, and it's much better this year.
It is amazing when you talk about STEM, and Renee earlier in the show was talking about starting at kindergarten. You talked about young age. The imagination is so different. Yes. Because we were joking earlier about payphones, and payphones don't exist, and Kodak film doesn't exist, and what's going to happen 20 years from now as those new technologies. And we were talking earlier upstairs about Toyota's announced they will not make a gas-powered car by 2050. Wow. You think about that. It's like amazing, but it's all about technology and coming up with that next thing that there's really nothing that's not feasible. It just takes the technology and the wherewithal to make it work and stuff. So in terms of, I'll ask Camille this question, other things you guys do in the community, you're involved in the chamber quite a bit and stuff. So how important are events like this and just the education system? I know you guys help out in the schools and stuff as well. How important is that, and how can people get involved? Or
I think there's numerous ways to get involved. I mean, organizations throughout the valley, whether it's Cisek Puede locally or, you know, your local high school, they're always looking for volunteers. You know, some of our engineers are reaching out to the different robotics clubs and helping them, whether it be with coding or using a CAD program. We did that last year with the Chandler High School. I mean, there's just a lot of ways to get involved. And all of these organizations really rely on volunteers now.
Cool. And Odette, in terms of over the years you've been doing this now, how do you feel in terms of the growth of this event and the fun nature of it? You've watched this event grow. I mean, what's your expectations?
I was just sharing with Camille backstage that one of the things from the youth to the engineers, to see their enthusiasm in their product, whatever it is they're presenting at the event, it's childlike across the board, from the youth to the, and so my reward is just seeing that and seeing those that attend the event enjoy every aspect of it, all the different hands-on experience, also realizing how creative some of the youths are today with their products. And one of the things that I look forward to, and that was and is rewarding, is we have reached across the waters with students from Bogota, Colombia, who have come out and also participated and presented.
And they're coming back this year,
and they
right?
will be here this year again, yes. So it's really rewarding to see how far we have reached out to students, and the students in Bogota, Colombia used our example to create their own event.
All right.
And so we're touching different aspects of people's life.
It's an international event now.
It is. It's an international event now. And it's all thanks to your backing and love of the science and STEM, along with the various companies and stuff that makes this possible.
You know, like I said, it's the staff that makes it work and stuff, and our corporate partnerships. And I know Garmin's coming back this year, and Orbital ATK and Intel's going to be here. Air Products is coming back again, which we're really excited about it. So if you like things blowing up and different things, rocket-wise, or just, I know Air Products blows up a lot of stuff, but just a lot of hands-on stuff. Chandler Gilbert Community College is there. Some of the schools are there doing different kinds of events. The library's there.
Tech shop.
And it's really an event for the family that you can come out and spend hours and hours and really enjoy it and stuff. So talk about some other things in terms of any other people you want to touch on real quickly, or that are coming, that are committed? And
Microsoft from Chandler Mall, they're coming out this year.
Oh, good.
And we have a lot of new interests, some that we're still working on getting approval with the fire department and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I don't want to say they're okay yet
Right.
until we have the approval, but we have a lot of interest, new interest.
And our fire department's great.
And our
so,
fire department is
so-
wonderful, as Camille can attest to, because
Right.
her first year, we had to go through them to get her
Right.
to blow up the things that she does. So
for the parents out there, it's a safe event.
It is
So
definitely
it's
a safe
a fun event. It's free.
Yes.
It's from 10 o'clock in the morning till
Till
4.
4.
And I know in the past we've had some of the companies stay till 4:35, 5:30, because they don't want any kid going away without being able to play on a simulator or whatever it might be and stuff. So we are out of time.
Okay.
It goes quick. So I want to thank you guys both for coming in. I'm looking forward to it on February 19th, the Art Walk, Science and Art Walk, and then February 20th. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you.
Thanks.